Right. Parashat Vayakhel. Usually we read this Parashat together with Parashat Pikudei, but this year is a leap year, so we only read it by itself. Don't forget that Rosh Chodesh is Sunday, Monday. And don't forget that a month and a half, 6 weeks from Sunday is Pesach. I'm just reminding you, get your house in order already. So at the beginning of Parashat Vayakhel, Moshe makes a tikkun for Chet HaEgel. Am Yisrael sinned with the golden calf. So Moshe makes a tikkun and whatever it was we spoke about last week and so on and so forth. The Torah hints us on that when it starts the two parashiyot in almost identical words. It says Vayakhel ha'am el Aaron, right? Vayakhel ha'am, and the people gather on Aaron and they threaten him and say, listen buddy, you got to give us a golden calf here. And here it says Vayakhel Moshe et kol adat bnei Israel. He gathered all the Jews together. Zaman, there's some good yummy stuff here. So the parasha opens immediately after Moshe Rabbeinu comes down for the second time from the mountain with the second tablets. Of course, with the forgiveness of God to Am Yisrael on the Chet of the Egel. He forgave them, but it doesn't mean that they don't have to fix whatever damage they created. And I'm going to tell you that the damage that they created, or was created during the time of the Egel, is our obligation to fix as well. And we, Be'ezrat Hashem, going to talk about this today. And you should know that these are the only times the first time in the Torah, and probably the only time in Sefer Shemot, that we have the roots of Vayakhel or Kahal in the Torah. Kahal, it also means what?
Congregation.
A congregation, that's right. Kahal is a congregation. And it says when Bnei Israel sinned with the golden calf, they gathered, right? V'nikhalu, they gathered. In other words, they made a communal sin. And now they need to commune again or recommune again and to build their community all over again together and to fix that spiritual damage that they cause. In other words, they need to fix and to create a spiritual Jewish community all over again. We were all together, one body, one part in Har Sinai. We messed it up, and now we got to fix it. Now, we need to know that Judaism, first of all, is a spiritual communal way of life. In other words, it's should I say, almost impossible to be a Jewish hermit. You need the community. You need the community, and it's very important. And throughout the mitzvot that we see, many mitzvot that we see in Sefer Dvarim later on, these are communal mitzvot and communal partnership that we have. And that is a foundation in our Jewish and humanistic existence of responsibility for the other. Now, not only, of course, back then, also today. Also today, a person could not say, I don't care what happens in Israel. I live in America, I live in Australia, I live in whatever. And if you forget this, there will be a goy who will come and remind you that you are a Jew. You say, well, what do I have to do with Israel? Say, no, you're a Jew. And today we are being reminded, right, for all of us who forgot that we all Jewish and we should care to one another, they've been reminded. And we need to be very careful about this. Now, we all know that when the community, that a community, and we're not going into social work here and psychology, has a tremendous effect to really change and shape our lives and really who we are. I mean, Chazal did tell us, tell me who your friends, and I'll tell you who you are. Chazal told us it's better to have what? Tov shachen karov me'ach rachok. What does it mean? Better to have a close neighbor than a distant brother. We all say, oh, my brother, but your neighbor is more important to you. It's better to have that. So, but first, let's see exactly what is Moshe trying to do in this parasha. He's trying to redirect the outlook of Am Yisrael to two different communities in the essence of the Jewish people. One is in space, and the other one is in the medium of time. Now, the Jewish community of time is called Shabbat. It's called Shabbat. And the community that is, or the center, or the communal center that is in space, that is the Mishkan. And later on, Rabotai, is the temple in the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, owned by the Jews and by no others, invaded by some Arabs. But guys, I'm going to tell you something. We are the indigenous people of the land of Israel. Anybody else there is an invader.
Exactly.
Let me get that straight. Don't forget that. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise, including the president. Now, you might understand why we should have been a little bit more careful in 1967 when we got Jerusalem back, great thanks to the great mercy of God, and we so conveniently gave the Temple Mount to the Arabs. We didn't give it back, we gave it away. Because building the temple unifies the people, makes us something to join together. Today in Israel, there's no such thing that would unify the people. When I wanted to make this yeshiva, my idea was that the yeshiva would be a core of a community where people will come in and they would learn without any discrimination of who you are or what your father was and how much you know or how much you don't know, where we're going to train rabbis and all the and you know, moalim and sofrim and dayanim and kashrut. But believe it or not, people are not interested in that.
Won't stop.
People are not interested in that, and you'll see why, and this is why we fall apart. Today, the only thing that we might replace somewhat the job of the temple are yeshivot, the place where we learn Torah. Where when you're coming, everybody is equal. In shuls, nobody is equal. You have always the guys who give more money, the guys who, the machers, right? They get all the aliyahs and the families and so on and so forth. But in yeshiva, everybody is visible. Around Torah, everybody counts. Around Torah, we don't care who your dad was and how many masechtot your grandfather did. Okay, what are you doing? So Moshe is trying to focus Am Yisrael to those two centers. Now, later on, in those two places, right? You could examine and measure the strength and the health of a community by those two factors. How strong the shuls or the yeshivot are in the place, right? And how strongly Shabbat is being observed in that place. Now, when we put all the business to the sides and so on and so forth, and we get together, as a community in the shul, especially on Shabbat, which is the house of the Jewish community, right? This is when we actually start to function. That's how we gather. Come gather around, people, wherever you roam. You know what we said?
Dylan.
Bob Dylan, that's right. Idon. Oh, my boy. Here you go.
Times they are changing.
The times they are changing. The times are changing all the time. And therefore you need to create a certain stability in your life. And that's your bet medrash and that's your shul. That's the only core of stability you have. Everything else will change. So in shul, right, when we'll go to shul, there are certain things we can only do in shul. Like for example, when we say kedusha, when we say nakdishach or nekadesh, or we say kaddish, to that matter, we do it as a community. We can only say it when we have a minyan. And the minyan is the smallest unit of what we call a community. 10 people will make a unit. That's the smallest thing. If we don't have 10 people, you can have 50 Sifrei Torah. If you don't have 10 people, you can't say Kaddish. In other words, you need to have a community. So, when we pray, when we daven, we do it as a community, right? The way we ask in tefillah, most of them are being said as plural. As plural, right? Hashivenu avinu letoratecha. Achazirenu b'tshuva shel lefenecha. Right? Retzeh b'tfilatenu. Right? It's all plural. It's all plural. And we need to understand that Judaism is a religion of us and you. Is a way of life of us and you as a community. Therefore, in order to atone for the sin of Bnei Israel, sin as a community, Moshe is really striving to sanctify the community in the realm of time, in the dimension of time, by doing all these things, talking about Shabbat, building the Mishkan, and so on and so forth. He gives them a spiritual purpose to do that. However, Vayakhel could also be a matter of separation. It could be also a measure of separation, and a separation from something that makes us have anxiety or fear, and so on and so forth, doubts, confusion, like we have, in our days. The Zohar on Parashat Vayakhel really gives us speaks in length about the kavanot of the tefillah, of davening, and the power of Shabbat that I mentioned in the beginning, Parashat Vayakhel in the Torah. Now, the Shabbat and a spiritual community are really a place, a refuge for us, for a person, to reach a certain of wholeness above time and space. Shabbat, and that's what we say. Shabbat me'en ha'olam haba. In other words, it's above our worldly dimensions, of the 3 dimensions of space and the dimension of time. Shabbat is me'en ha'olam haba. Now, the davening during to every day in a kilah, in a shul. By the way, for us, we used to say keilah. We go to the keilah, the shul, bet knesset, right? And at least for those who speak Ladino, was la keilah, or el vamos al kal mishum kahal. Because that's the only place you daven. That's where you get together. That's what makes you a keilah, your shul, or yeshivot, whatever you are. So, and as you can see, we eat here together as I'm going to tell you, if you think about it this way, you probably eat here, especially the guys who come in the morning and at night, you probably eat here together with your chavrutos, with your buddies, more than you eat with your own family. Don't take this for granted. So, first of all, you need to come more often and come on time. I don't care if you're writing your PhD about Sophocles, you need to come here on time, or you have a date on a Tuesday, you still have to come here on time. And you should date other girls besides those who come from your original, background. Right? Zalman? And all these, and in a way becomes by coming here and creating this unique sanctuary, separates us from the tsunami of the day-to-day attack that we have been, the bombardment that we have every single day from all these things, and really connect us to a different awareness, to upper worlds, to spiritual worlds. And that's why it is a problem when you come to shul and you pick up the phone and you start talking in the chol, or you're coming to Bet HaKnesset and the people are in tefillah and you're talking about your stock market, or you talk about Biden, or you talk about Netanyahu, or you talk about I don't know what. You're coming to shul, it's a sanctuary, it's a holy sanctuary where only the words of Hashem and the words of Torah should be spoken. There's no other way to go about it, guys. Many people don't feel connected to coming to shul because it's like a bazaar. And we need to be very aware and conscientious about that matter. We need to sanctify it. It's a place that we were drawn to. We feel like we're being pulled to, by this force that's drawing us there, because like a magnet. Not a place that I have to go. It's a drag to go. And when I go there, I talk about everything. I talk about basketball, football, what do you call this? Super Bowl, all the nonsense that we talk about. That should not be in shul. It doesn't mean you don't talk to people. Welcome people, greet people, ask how they're feeling, how is everything is okay, and so on and so forth. But there's not really a place in shul to talk about, business. Even more so on Shabbat. Even more so on Shabbat. So, when we are connected to the spiritual world, these are the worlds of light and absolute values of good. This is all about good because we connect ourselves with the Shefa of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to us. In a way, it's connecting us to Etz HaChaim. This kind of a connection really creates for us a true point of reference, which is very strong. And by having this point of reference, it's very easy to deal with all the specific obstacles that we face throughout the day. You don't feel that you're lost. You have some kind of anchor, some kind of a place that you refer to, that you're not being drifted there. But the waves, I don't know if you ever, one of the most scariest thing that is out there, and I don't know if you ever been to one. Maybe you should. I don't know if you shouldn't, but maybe you should. Is to be in a storm in the ocean.
North Sea.
For that matter, the Atlantic is pretty bad as you get. To be in a storm in the ocean, it's not something that you take so lightly. And this is how we are drifting in our lives. Throwing our kishkas out, and you see those waves, it's like scary. Sometimes you sit down, I don't know, you can sit on YouTube and see those just giant waves going through boats. It scares you just watch it on YouTube. Imagine what it is in real life. Imagine what it is in real life. This is how we are in our lives. And that's why, and we don't develop this connection to a shul. We don't make the commitment to come to shul. We don't make the commitment to come to learn in yeshiva all the time, because that's probably the only point of sanity in your crazy day. And then you develop anxiety, fears, confusion, depression, giving up, losing hope, and so on and so forth. And then we need to send people to become psychologists. You solve a lot of those problems by having a community, by anchoring yourself. You should do good with yourself by establishing yourself, as David HaMelech says, Shifti bevet Hashem leorach yamim. All I want to do is to sit in the house of God, because that's the only real thing. That's my kavua. That's what gives me stability. From that I can only grow. You need to understand that. You should look forward to come to shul. You should run to Bet Midrash to come to learn. Hem ratzim ve'anu ratzim. They are running and we are running. If you have too many anxieties, right? I'm going to tell you the following. Try to make your learning a little bit more stable. A little bit more stable. Don't leave yeshiva for crumbs. Make it your main meal. Something that you. I don't care if you're going to date Donald Trump's stepdaughter, she's so frum that she shaved the hair. I don't care. You should never, and I'm going to tell you this, give up your Zman Kavua for a date. It's something that you might not like to hear, and I'm sure there are going to be many people screaming out, Shidduch crisis. One of the reasons you can't make a decision about getting married is because you're afraid, you're full of fears. That's your Zman Kavua. How are you going to build a house that is built on emunah when you threw the Torah out and through the window. Listen, there are 24 hours in a day. If you're learning only 2 hours a day, you don't have the luxury to give it up to go on a date. I'm sorry to tell. Actually, I'm not sorry. I'm not apologetic about it. Somebody got to tell you that. Give up your work. Get out that hour earlier. Oh, cut class. You would never cut class. God forbid you cut class for anything. Oh, God forbid. But you're learning, and then you're going to tell me that it's important to you? Like, who do you think you're bluffing? You're not hurting anybody but yourself. And your kids who weren't born yet. You have to remember that. This is not about making nice to you. It's about telling you what needs to be told. And this is our connection to Ruchniut. Most of us are not spiritual. We're just like anybody else out there in the world, just wearing a kippah. And one day a week not doing anything. What separates us from the people? What makes us an Am Sgula? We're not spiritual. All we run is after money, we like chaos, and we don't want stability of spirituality. How many of us will give up going to shul because I have to go to work, I can dominate shul? How many of us will do that? Now, when you don't establish it in such a way, you are not fixing up whatever needed to be fixed up in the time of the ego. That's exactly what they did in the ego. And if we're able to deal with those points of pressure, of anxiety, and bad things that happen. I mean, those things will happen to you all the time. Guys, bad things will happen to you all the time. Most of your life are not going to go your way. The question is how you bounce from it. Don't ever let anybody fool you on starting a new way. You're going to end up the same thing because most of us don't solve our problems. We just carry with us. You need to learn how to move from this point and on. How do you bounce from here and move on? You can't start new because you are who you are. The very nice slogans that people tell you out there. But you're not. You want a proof? I'll go show you a proof. A person who is an alcoholic cannot say, okay, that's it. You know what? I'm not an alcoholic anymore. I can have a drink. Can never have a drink. He's always an alcoholic. Can I have a drink? So what do? You move forward from here. Okay, I'm not coming to bars and pubs and places like this anymore. I'm not drinking alcohol anymore. But I am always an alcoholic. That's what the first thing they teach you. Alcoholic Anonymous. There's many different types of anonymouses out there. There's Alcoholic Anonymous. There is a whole bunch of them, right? Now, Judaism appreciates the individual a lot. And the individual serves a strong point and an important point in the essence of what Am Yisrael is all about. So much that the Torah tells us that every person is olam umlo, is a whole entire world. When we have kol mitzil nefesh achat kin mitzil, if a person saves one person, it's like you save a whole entire world, and so on and so forth. And yet, the words are lo tov heyot ha'adam levado. The Torah in Sefer Bereshit tells you, listen, buddy, it's not good to be alone. Now, it doesn't mean that because of that you're going to get married like quickly. It has nothing to do about this. It's about your community. Because I'm going to tell you something. You can have a wife and you can have kids. And if you don't have a strong community, you're still going to be lonely. And you need to remember that. And a big part from the Torah and the mitzvot is the togetherness. We have to do it together, right? Shalosh parim b'shana yira'eh kol zechucha. We have to make the pilgrimage. There's always a together thing. We have to do the Pesach with everybody together, and so on and so forth, right? and we have the mitzvot of Chanukah and Purim, when we have the concept of Berov Hadrat Melech, the more the merrier in terms of that. The Torah appreciates the individual, but does not push for individuality, for people to become, it's all about me. Individualism is not something that the Torah and Judaism pushes. Individual, yes, but it doesn't mean that I have to be like everybody else. It doesn't mean political correctness. It means that each one stands by itself. The Torah does not like that, right? And we see in our society how, as we, and you look at the American society, how as we as a society lost our power, we lost our juice, where we became two individuals, each to his own. I was talking to Idan the other day. I said, you know what? I don't hear people singing anymore, for crying out loud. Do you know why people don't sing anymore? Because they have their earphones. Everybody is with those bugs in the ears or things in the ears that radiates whatever into your ear all day long. When you hear the music, you tend to sing with it. When you listen, you're on in a world of your own. It's so funny because we spoke about it. I said before they had even those earphones with the wire. Every time you could pick up a lunatic in the street because you see how he's talking to himself. This guy is whatever he is, right? Today everybody talks to themselves. It's crazy. It's mamash crazy. So and because we became the individualism in American or in the modern society is so strong that we broke what is so-called a community, and we elevated the individual. That the I, there's the same thing as the iPhone and the iPad and the iFoot and the I this and the I. It's all about the I. Why I? Why not G phone? Why not T phone? Why the iPhone? Because it's all about I, me. And we break the society. Look at certain communities that used to be a model for families and so on and so forth. And when we broke that power of society, or the societal group, whether it was people going to church and so on and so forth, and we made everybody to his own, society fell apart. Those people today are all impoverished, in poverty, getting handouts from the government. And that's sad. We need to understand each and every one of us is important, but we are important only because of our part in the whole. Because each and every one of us has a specific job that could be done only by him. We appreciate you and your abilities, but you're not living on a world on your own. And learning, the limit for us is that the person is a communal creature, and a person without community is in a non-natural state of being. So I said to you, as a Jew, you cannot be a hermit. And this is why it's so important to have a community, especially a community who is dedicated to values and virtues that are superior, that are out there. It's like charity and helping one another and so on and so forth. That's why you want to measure a good community. Don't look at the size of the houses. Don't look, if you bought a house for $6 million and you put another $2 million house on it, and so on and so forth. That's not a strong community. A strong community is, first of all, does the community have Bikur Cholim? Does the community have Tomchei Shabbat? Is there Chevra Kadisha in the community? Is there any of those charity organizations for the community? For the community. Does the community have a school? Does the community support its own school? Does the community support its own businesses? Are there any businesses in the community? We look at things from a non-Jewish point of view, and that's why we fail. Rabotai, America is a great example for that. Communities that stayed together. Look at the Syrians in Brooklyn. Look at people in the five towns. Look at people, Muncie, and so on and so forth. Well, they have a chance. Lakewood, they have a chance. You move from the community, you move the shuls from the community. When people stop going to shuls, when people stop observing the Shabbat, they disappear. Yeah, you might go to Delaware and taxes are cheaper there. You might go to Wyoming and the girls are blonde there more than anywhere else. Maybe, I don't know, I've never been to Wyoming. But I saw it here. But what do I do there as a Jew? Talk to the cows? Who's going to bury me when I die? Who's going to come and visit me and say, hey buddy, I haven't seen you in shul for a week, are you okay? Like a while ago, one of my neighbors called me up. He said, sorry to bother you, but I haven't seen you in shul. What's going on? I said, yeah, I had COVID. I took it to heart so much. I mean, my neighbor called me. He noticed I wasn't there. He just wanted to make sure I'm okay. Do we call people where we don't see them coming to shul for a while? Do we call people that we don't see them coming to yeshiva? Listen, buddy, what's going on? Why don't you come? Come, I learn with you. Come. תעזבנו יום, העגלה נוסעת אין עצור. Wagon keeps on going. It doesn't stop. That's why you can't skip a day. You can't skip a day. Again, if you are dating a girl that doesn't care about your learning, I don't think you should date her. But if you are dating a girl that will tell you, excuse me, are you learning in yeshiva? Yes. What's your time? What's your zman kavua? Well, I don't want you to miss it. That's the girl you should marry. Say, okay, fine. Where can we sign up? I want to marry you. That's the girl I want to marry. The girl would appreciate my learning because the stability of the home will depend on my learning. Without even seeing her. Without seeing the girl will tell you, don't mevatel yuzman kavua. We did either before or after. You tell her, excuse me, what size ring you're wearing? I'm going to marry you right now. Now you don't care if she's Bulgarian, they grew up in Czechoslovakia. You're going to marry her. That's the one. These are your measurements. Which community you're looking into? Not where you have bigger houses and there's a competition to pull the eyes of one another. Is there Torah there? Are there shuls there? Are there communal organization in place? That's how you measure. That's putting your Jewish glasses on. So when we are in a community like this or in a society like this, that would help us, form a stronger self of who we are, as well as our Jewish identity. And by doing so, we'll be able to overcome the chet of the egel, right? And the same thing, maybe the Maaseh HaEgel, what's the peak of the peirud, of the separation of Maaseh HaEgel? It's not that these were dancing and these were not. It's that when Shevet Levi was ordered to go out and kill their own brothers. You had to go out and kill your own brothers. So now our job is to bring our people back together to Har Sinai together. The concept of Choser B'Tshuva is a very, I think, misunderstood concept. And you want to know why? By nature, Lachzor means to go back. So only if you were there, let's say for example, the true Choser B'Tshuva should be those who were frum, went off the derech and became frum again. So an individual, let's say for example, argument's sake, let's say Idan, we call him Choser B'Tshuva, right? But is it Choser B'Tshuva? The guy was never frum. How is it Choser B'Tshuva? There is a concept of Choser B'Tshuva. Is a klal. Maybe this person became Adam Ma'amin, a believer. Now he's a part of that group. But as an individual, you cannot be Choser B'Tshuva unless you left it first. Now you're becoming Adam Ma'amin. Now you're Shomer Torah Mitzvot. But as a klal, as a part of Am Yisrael needs to make tshuva together. We need to go back together. So therefore, you could be also what we call frum from birth. Observant from birth, never missed a mitzvah in your life. But if you are not putting the people together, you are not called Baal Tshuva. Baal Tshuva is a part of the nation that puts together. So if as a Jew I see the need to put my brothers and sisters back together, then I'm entitled to the title of Baal Tshuva, and then it would apply b'makom sheBaal Tshuva omed tzadikim gdolim v'na'omrim. When a Baal Tshuva, a person who's come back, even a righteous person does not stand. As an individual, a part of the whole, but not as an individual, as a part of an individual. And don't let anybody mislead you on that. They'll tell you stories, or tell you ideas. That's why a person that breaks away from Am Yisrael, he doesn't like him to be friend with him. I like him, and I like him, but I don't want him to be friend with him. So I'm going to put a divider between them. A person like this is playing with fire. There's going to be a Shevet Levi out there going out to get him. And if it's not him, it's Midat Adin. Because you are continuing the separation of Am Yisrael. You expect a bang. And you got to be very careful. That's why Lashon Hara is very bad. That's why Lashon Hara is very bad. That's why speaking badly about people is horrific. You break away. You break away things. Now, so that's what we see soon in Esther. When Esther HaMalka tells Mordechai, Lech kenos et kol haYudim, go gather all the Jews, gather them all together. So that kind of gathering enables us to receive or to create this necessary power to elevate us back up again to the level of holiness, to the level of Kedusha. When you live life of separation, you cannot live life of Kedusha. Holiness comes from all of us together. But I need to do my part, he needs to do his part, and we all need to do our part together. Only then we're going to be called Am Kadosh, a holy nation. And Moshe gathered the people also for the sake of the Mishkan, but also for the commandment of Shabbat. And the Mishkan and the Shabbat are the spiritual vessel to gather all Am Yisrael together and connect us with a spiritual root, with a Shoresh Ruchani. So today, since the Bet HaMikdash is destroyed, and we have Arabs that build a temple there, a mosque, on top of a Byzantine church that was there, on top of a Roman temple that was burned, built on top of the Jewish temple, all why? And the idea is very simple. The idea is to continue the klala, the curse of Bilam that came through his bracha. Ma tovu alecha Yisrael mishkenotecha Yaakov. How beautiful are the tents of Am Yisrael, that everybody is considerate of one another. The beauty of Am Yisrael is togetherness. The nations of the world, their job is, or their intent is, not to care for us so much. Guys, we don't have allies. The job is to continue the Jews separated. And we as Jews should become smarter. We should tell them, thank you very much for your money. I'm not going to run for president, or I'm not going to run for prime minister if that's going to cause a division among my people. Mm-hmm. And therefore, if you have a person that speaks badly about any other Jew, reprimand him. Reprimand them. Say, excuse me, what are you doing? And again, the battle of the temple is not to have the focal point of Am Yisrael all together in one place, this tremendous spiritual energy. You need to understand that. It's not about politics. It's about the existence of Am Yisrael. Now, if we will understand what Shabbat is, and so on and so forth, we could understand also the connection between the Mishkan and Shabbat, as we could see by the 39 melachot that they did in the Mishkan, when they took place, the types of work that they did there. These are the types of work that we are not supposed to do on Shabbat as well, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the connection. Then you can take it yourself and so on and take it. Now, you should know that all our dealing with this spiritual work and so on and so forth is really creating vessels for the overall, for the neshama klalit, for the overall neshama of Am Yisrael, in order for we benefiting from the light of that neshama coming, shining upon all of us. We need everybody in. And what did they do? The same thing in Binyan HaMishkan. Everybody gave. Everybody donated. Everybody donated. They donated so much until they said, listen, stop. I can't have this anymore. But everybody donated. That's the whole idea behind donating machatzit shekel. That it didn't make a difference if you are a trillionaire and you are a poor person. All of us gave chetzi shekel. Because without my machatzit shekel, everybody's machatzit shekel is not good. In the eyes of God, we all equal. That's the secret of machatzit shekel. That we all equal, regardless of the money and the importance. We are all equal as in the eyes of God. We all have a job to do. And the job is equal to all of us. And only when we'll be able to see ourselves a part of the society, or a part of a society, only then we can build a society. But when we have a society that is all about division, right? Blacks, white, Chinese, I don't know, what is out there? Hispanics, whatever. Sfaradim, Ashkenazim, Chilonim, Charedim, Marokkaim, Polanim, Bulgarim, Turkim. When we as a society that is built on fragments, we can't build a society. Unfortunately, they haven't understood it yet in Israel. Now, there is, of course, a chance to reunite again, going to the army. Everybody goes to the army. But it doesn't really work. The only way for us is to create a focal point, and that's why they say, if you keep Shabbat. Yes, they should go to the army. If you ask me, they should go to the army. As much as they should go to the army, also the secular Jews should be aware of their Judaism and the Jewish part, and they should do something about the Jewish identity. If they would, they wouldn't give half of Israel back. And there's no room for that among us. Whether you're Sephardic or Ashkenazi, whether you're secular or not secular, you're a Jew and you need to understand that, and we need to stop. That's why it's beautiful in Israel. At the beginning, I remember when I was young, it was very rare to have interracial marriage in Israel. What do I mean interracial? Ashkenazi marriage Sephardi. It was like unheard of. And now, thank God, more and more and more and more. So therefore, your need to keep your own culture or identity by only marrying people from your own identical culture is kind of a continuation of the ego. Now, it doesn't make a difference. You could be an Ashkenazi, for example, and if you like, I don't know, Bukhari traditions of wearing this big kippah on your hand and wearing the jumah, I don't do this. Who cares? It's a part of the Jewish thing. I'll adopt it. And I don't know, a Sephardi wearing a shtrimal. Well, if you don't have allergies and you like shtrimal, so wear shtrimal. Today Judas. So wear this. Who cares? No big deal. No big deal. We're all Jews. It doesn't make a difference. As much as a Yemenite can eat a gefilte fish if it's good, so does a Polak eat burekas. And it's always good. Of course, if a Sephardi made it. But, so why can we continue with this experiment and take it further? We all in this together. Now, as you see, that was the opposite, exactly the opposite of Migdal Bavel. I'm almost done. The opposite of Migdal Bavel. Migdal Bavel, look at what they were able to do. They weren't punished as much as they were punished at Dora Palaga. Palaga means the generation of separation. That's the time of Noach. God, that kind of generation I don't want, God says. Yeah, destroy them all. In the Tower of Babel, they were united to rebel against God. God said, okay, fine, I spread them out. Don't worry about it. But they weren't punished as much. What does it tell you? But only you need to understand through the community, we can take the everyday mundane things and elevate them. And the best example for that is the issue of the Marot HaTzovot. Those mirrors that the women in Egypt used to beautify themselves, to arouse the husbands, to multiply and to have kids. When they brought it to the Mishkan, Moshe said, There's something that was used for sexual act. I don't want to put this in here. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, no. You're going to put it in, and you're going to put it all the way inside of the Mizbeach. I like that. Because they did it as a whole for the benefit of Am Yisrael. But only through a community you can take a kli of chol, or mundane usage, and elevate it to a holy vessel. Only through the community and through your strength of your community, you could become a holy vessel. Korach was not so wrong. Korach was right. Kol ha'edah kedoshim. Everybody is holy. You're right. But only when united, not when you're coming to separate. And for that he was wrong. We are all holy if we understand that each and every one of us is important. So Rabotai, there's a lot of work to do. You want to be free in a month and a half? Pesach, you want to be free? We'll start working on it today. Not tomorrow, today. Shabbat Shalom.